Did you know that your phone is doing more than just ruining your attention span? I did a load of research and found out that your phone is more harmful than you realize, as most of the problems your phone causes has been underneath everyone's radars. However, I'm going to reveal all of them, and not only that, I'm going to tell you how I managed to eliminate my phone addiction at the end of the video. But before we start, how do we get here? So let's go back to June 29th, 2007. The iPhone is now released. But fun fact, Steve Jobs would not let his children use his invention, the iPhone. He knew how bad the iPhone was. But anyway, the iPhone was released, and in no time, the smartphone became a household item. However, this has come at a massive cost, but the public wouldn't know until eventually TikTok arrived. Now before then, you'll get some talk from your parents about stop using the phone, you're using it too much. However, TikTok highlighted a massive issue with smartphones that hadn't been spoken about before, and that was attention span. You see, attention spans had been decreasing prior due to things such as the television and the computer. But when TikTok arrived, the average attention span went down to 6 seconds. That's when people began to notice, especially teachers, which by the way, when I was in high school, I used to talk to my teachers about attention span, and the teachers themselves told me that they had to change the teaching strategies every year because the kids' attention spans would be getting worse every time. And around that time was when the smartphone's effects on attention span started to become a widely known issue. But before we begin, we have to understand dopamine. There's this thing in our brain called dopamine, which is a neurochemical in our brain that motivates us to do things. If you think of ice cream, you'll get a tug, right? A tug telling you to go to the fridge and get the ice cream. The thing that is tugging you is dopamine. Now where things get problematic is how apps like TikTok will manipulate your dopamine. If you're scrolling on TikTok, you'll notice a tug, right? However, that tug occurs every time you're going to scroll down. And you know how much the average TikTok user scrolls down? Every second. Now this causes a massive dilemma, right? Because you are essentially overloading yourself with too much dopamine spikes within the first 5 scrolls. So what happens is that you create this massive dopamine spike, and eventually that dopamine spike will crash. And when it crashes hard. In fact, it crashes so hard that the dopamine baseline decreases with it. And because of all that, many different effects will occur. So what are the implications of this? Well, the first problem is extremely interesting. There's this thing called gray matter, right? Which is a tissue that stores itself in each part of the brain. The more gray matter that is in one part of the brain, the more active that brain part will be. However, when you use TikTok, right, because of this dopamine effect, the gray matter in your prefrontal cortex will decrease, while the gray matter in your amygdala will increase. Now you're probably wondering what those two parts of the brain are. Well, your prefrontal cortex is your logical brain, right? It regulates your cognition, your ability to think logically, and it's very important. While your amygdala regulates your fight or flight system, and thus it ends up being titled the anxiety brain. You see the problem here? So what does this do to you, this effect? Well, there are 3 effects that come from this problem, and this right here is one of them. A study was conducted in a university in South Korea called Yonsei Uni. They took 104 participants and split them into 2 groups. Group A were people who were practically addicted to their phones, and then there was Group B, the normal usage group. The results came in, and the study found out that the people who were addicted to their phones had major impulsivity issues. So the phone addiction increased their impulsivity rate. So what does this mean for these people? So first of all, they make illogical decisions, right? Second of all, they're more likely to fall into addiction. But not only does your phone cause you to be more impulsive, right? It also does this. So have you ever wondered why your best ideas come to you when you're showering or sleeping? Well, that is because those are the only times you don't have your phone around you. Your electrical devices stop you from thinking clearly. And not only that, there's this other problem that has been on the rise lately. Let me tell you a quick story. I used to experience a lot of anxiety myself, right? Whenever I'd enter a classroom, for example, I would just freak out of nowhere, right? I would focus on where my hands should be when I'm talking to someone. I'll try to focus on where my bag should be, how I should place it. However, when I stopped using distractions like my computer in the morning, right, the anxiety vanished like that, and I stopped focusing on where my hand should be and all that. Why does this happen? Well, that is because when I got rid of the distraction in the morning, my amygdala started to decrease. So what your phone is doing to you is that once the amygdala increases, your anxiety increases with it. Now let's talk about sleep. And I bet you have scrolled at night before so you could go to sleep. That's what many people do. They scroll at night so they can actually fall asleep. However, Sleep Junkie did a study about night scrolling. And they found out that each social media app has a different effect on your sleep when you scroll on it. Now, something to clarify before we get into the results here, the average REM stage sleep for someone who doesn't use electronics before bed is 23%, and it takes them 25 minutes to fall asleep. Now, let's compare that to the results of the people who scrolled before going to bed. So first there's Facebook. Facebook reduces the REM stage sleep to 19.5%, as well as taking away 45 minutes out of their sleep. And then Twitter reduces the REM stage to 18% and takes away 50 minutes of sleep. Snapchat reduces REM stage sleep to 16% and takes away 56 minutes of sleep. And then the worst of them all, Instagram and TikTok. Come listen to this, alright? People who use Instagram before sleeping experience only 15.5% of REM stage sleep, and 58 minutes are taken away from their sleep. While TikTok, get this, TikTok users experience 14% of REM stage sleep, which is 9% of the REM stage sleep taken away from them. And the amount of time it takes for a TikTok user to fall asleep is 1 hour and 7 minutes, which is quite a big jump from Instagram's 58 minutes. Now, the reason why these apps destroy your sleep is because of the dopamine effects I mentioned earlier. The dopamine keeps your brain up until it eventually settles down. Now, what about blue light? I'm sure you thought about blue light when I thought about your phone. It's sleeping. Well, the reason why blue light disrupts your sleep is because the blue light on your phone acts like a sort of day signal, right? So what happens is that it blocks melatonin from producing in your brain. As a result, your body doesn't have enough melatonin to fall asleep. However, there's something very mysterious and sinister about blue light. Our eyes are really bad at blocking out blue light, right? And this is a massive problem because when digital blue light enters our eyes, the blue light damages the retina cells, which in turn damages the retina layer. And the worst part of all of this is that the retina damage increases the likelihood of age-related macular degeneration, which is a macular disease that basically blurs our central vision. It occurs when we're older. So if you suffer from macular degeneration, your sight would look like this. Yes, it's all very blurry. Anyway, now I'm going to discuss a rather controversial topic. People don't know what to agree on this, but I'm going to present it anyway. How dangerous are the EMFs coming out of your phone? Now, before we examine the effects of EMFs, right, I have to explain what is an EMF. EMFs are electromagnetic fields that come out of your phone so it can interact with radio towers, right? However, the amount of EMFs that come out of your phone is 2.7 gigahertz. So what are the effects of phone EMFs? I did a load of digging and found out this. There was a research article I found regarding male fertility, and the results are very interesting. The research paper concluded that the EMFs from your phone destroys your sperm's motility and quality. This means the cells will be distorted, and in return, the testosterone decreases. Now, the amount of EMFs it takes to reduce male fertility is 1000 megahertz. Now, you're probably wondering, Riley, how do I get rid of my phone addiction? Because I terrified you. I'm sorry. Don't worry, because I used to be a massive phone addict, but then I managed to eliminate my phone addiction, right? So what is the solution to this? Well, it's laughably simple, okay? Keep with me. You want to grab your phone and place it on the other side of the house and just keep it there. Don't use the phone across the entire day. Then once you've done that, move all of your operations on your phone onto your computer, right? What is the point of doing this? The reason why you want to do this is because you can't pick up your computer and carry it everywhere, unlike your phone, Keep never quitting.